Hello, everybody. I am Johnny Christ, and this is Drinks with Johnny. Today, I am joined by Dewey Halpaus, formerly of Anatomy of a Ghost and Portugal the Man, now Podcast host master of Pure Pleasure. How you doing today, man?
I'm great, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for doing the show.
Oh, you bet.
I see that you're in your usual area where you like to do conduct your podcast in your car, right?
Yep. Yes. I'm in my Lambo today.
Yeah, nice. You got the top down or what?
I got the sunroof closed because it's currently raining.
Sunroof on a Lambo. I don't think I've seen that Lambo. I don't recall that one.
Yeah, it's custom.
Okay, cool, man. You must be rolling in the dough on that Pure Pleasure.
Oh yeah, making millions.
So I've been listening to the podcast pretty much since I was on yours. Actually, not too long ago, we did a phoner, and you and I had a nice little chat. Great podcast you got. It's over at the Jabberjaw Network, right?
Yeah.
I've been listening to that, and you've got some great guests and some great conversations on there. I'm just about finished with the Fat Mike one, the infamous Fat Mike episode. That, to say the least, is a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. So so for those who haven't seen or heard this episode yet or anything about it, why don't you tell us real quick just a little brief thing so they could go check it out.
I've been trying to get him on the show for a year and a half, and finally got an agreement from Vanessa at FAT that, hey, you might be able to do this on it was like a Thursday or something. But be prepared for him not to answer and not to reschedule. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And called him up. It was he was taking a shit and told me to call him back. So I almost didn't call him back. I was like, this is fucked up. It's gonna be awful. And I manned up again and called him back, and it was interesting. It started really weird, which most conversations with Mike do, and then we got into it, and it was a lot of fun. But then I got cut off because he had another interview from Canada or something that's been trying for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And he texted me afterwards and was like, hey man, just fly down to my house on Tuesday and we'll finish this thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So long story short, I flew down to Sherman Oaks and hung out in the pool in latex and did an interview in a pool with mics in the pool. It was,
yeah. No, and when you listen to the episode too, you got a lot of it's really insightful, to be honest. I hadn't heard Mike in any other interviews or conversations talk the way that he did in that particular podcast, other than, if you had the pleasure of ever meeting him before, he might open up a little bit like that, but maybe not even that much, I think you struck a nerve with them when you were, showing your musical insight to it, and, just listened to the Cokie the Clown record that really touched you, and he just kind of opened up to you a little bit there, and I think it was really, really interesting and fun listen for me.
Well, that's great. I'm glad. A lot of people are really enjoying that episode and kind of surprised at what was in there, and I was too, to be honest. I mean, I was baking in the sun for one, and and just kind of taking it in that I was in Fat Mike's pool after only meeting him, that afternoon and on the phone. It's just so weird where this whole thing can take you with podcasts.
Well, yeah,
it's weird.
It's super cool. I mean, I'm just now starting my second season of the Drinks with Johnny podcast, and I'm learning. The fun part about it is these conversations. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you're just doing interviews." Like, no, I'm having a conversation with somebody like you and I right now. It's just we're riffing off each other. We're just sitting here getting to know each other via Skype, and it's just a fun, interesting way to get to know somebody and put it out there. And I'm enjoying it. It seems like you are still enjoying it as well. How many episodes are you into now?
Dude, I don't know. When does this come out, do you think? What?
This episode?
Yeah, probably.
Fuck, man. Maybe mid-March.
Okay, perfect. So in February, which people have already heard then, I'm actually releasing 5 episodes a week for the first 2 weeks because I have that many backlog.
Whoa, 5 episodes a week. So like one a day you're going to be doing, or what?
One a day, yeah. And
cool.
It's kind of ambitious, I guess, but it's going to be, I need to get them out because they become more and more irrelevant as time goes on.
Yeah.
And doing one a week. And I just got in the mode of doing so many. So by the time that's over, mid-February, I think 130 episodes.
Damn. That's great. That's great. So touched upon it a little bit earlier. You used to be in a band called Anatomy of the Ghost, and that's where you and I first crossed paths, correct?
Yes.
On Warp Tour back in the day
Warped
when
Tour.
we were on the Kevin Says and Volcom stage, and those two small, shitty little stages thrown way off to the side on the Warp Tour events.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
tell some of the people who might not know how you came into that band, what that band was all about,
Okay.
and your experiences on Warp Tour, basically.
Man, it was a whirlwind. Like we started. Nick and Joe Simon were the guitar player and drummer. The other guitar player and drummer in Anatomy. I played guitar, and then John Gorley sang, and Zach Carruthers on bass. Anyways, we had started playing when we were 13 back in Alaska, and so all we wanted to do was tour. Like, we wanted to be like Green Day and just tour. So by the time we turned 18, we were able to move somewhere. We decided to move to Portland because it was cheaper than Seattle at the time, and we had friends here that would let us stay with them until we got a place. Anyway, so we just practiced all the time, playing, writing. Our whole style of music changed. We were just a straight up punk band back in Alaska, and got exposed to everything else when we moved down here at the drive-in, like Thursday, bands like that. And the style changed, and we ended up signing to Rise Records here in Portland. And before the record even came out, we got bought out by Fearless, which was crazy. I don't know how that all worked. I still don't. But we recorded the record with Chris Crummett, who's a pretty big producer now. It was one of his first records he did. I think he made $1,000 to do it. And yeah, so anyway, started touring, got on with Fearless, and somehow I think Fearless got us on Warp Tour. And that was what was crazy was at that point, and you probably remember this too, pulling into Warp Tour for the first time backstage when you've never been backstage to any show ever. And you start driving through, it looks like a rap video almost, or like any of those early 2000s punk video, like a Mest video or something. And like, people are sitting on top of their car. Tim Armstrong was sitting on a vehicle with like two girls, and we're just driving in like the zoo and looking like, okay, there's one of my heroes. There's another one. Oh, almost hit that one. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So we had no idea what to make of it. You know, it was insane. So getting over that pretty quick, and just how hot it was, and just, I mean, Warped Tour is kind of miserable if you're in a van.
Oh yeah. The van. I mean, you're out in the middle. You're out in the middle of the country, in the dead of summer, and there's no ocean breeze from anything. It's fucking hotter than hot in the middle of America during the summer months. And when you're in one of those econo vans, probably got it used. It's got a couple 100,000 miles on it already, and pretty janky, and you're just throwing it together every day, and you're not getting AC. The only AC you're getting is, if you're lucky, the catering is actually indoors that day for some reason. And then you just hang out in catering all day.
It's brutal. You have to get to it. It set me up for working construction that I do now, because you got to get to the porta potty early before it gets fucked up. And you also, you guys were in a van too, I think, at that time. I'm not sure. Did you bus on that tour?
No, we did 2 or 3 Warped Tours before we had a bus on a van that we just drove ourselves around. Which, if you can remember doing that too, that's another beast in itself. You're there all day. Nighttime comes, you want to hang out with everybody, as you mentioned. A lot of your heroes are out there. It's your first time on a big tour, and the Warped Tour community is great. It doesn't matter if you're one of the bands on Kevin Says stage, or one of the perennial main stage bands are there. Everyone's hanging out at the barbecues behind after everyone's left. So you're not leaving until about midnight, and you got to go another 300 to 500 miles sometimes, depending on where Kevin wanted to go to the next show. He doesn't care. He's on a bus. He's got a driver, but you're one of the lowly bands. You got to hump your gear all the way there. You show up just about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, waiting to see what time you're going to go on stage and which stage it is. Sometimes you got to find out where the fuck you're going to go. Sometimes you're the first one on the smallest stage, and you got to get your gear all the way over there, set up and try and get on time, and those were the college years. I say that I didn't actually go to college, so those were my college years.
That's awesome. I did the whole I used to get made fun of for this in the band because they were all trying to play it cool, and I tried to befriend everyone I could with a bus so I could hang out in air conditioning.
So you were the smart one.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess now, and that has helped so much in this podcast because a lot of those friends I made on that tour, I have talked to on the show or connected me with other people. Where now the guys in Portugal still are hitting me up like, "How the hell did you get so and so on your show?" And I was like, "Do you remember Warped Tour when I was fanboying?" Well, I guess that worked out. It's
yeah.
Like, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up too. So then you're in Anatomy of the Ghost for a while, and what happens there before you get into Portugal? What's the transition there?
That was weird. Like we were on a tour, we were in Florida, in Miami, and they just kind of decided. A couple of them wanted to just go home and get regular jobs. We're tired of touring and being poor all the time. And then John and Zach wanted to start Portugal the Man, which was going to be an electronic side project kind of deal. And I was like, man, that's really not my style. And I was kind of pissed because, like, man, the whole band's just over. We had a major label little bidding war going on, and our management at the time, I don't think understood the difference between breaking up and going on hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
And so we broke up, breached contract, and so then Fearless ended up putting out Portugal's record, and they kind of took over our debt. And I started a band called The Burning Room, which was just a straight up, just a metallic kind of hardcore band.
Okay.
And we did one record on a label called Media Scare out of Hollywood there. And did a lot of touring on that. And then that's when I ended up jumping into Portugal, kind of a sidestep into that.
Yeah. So a lot of people probably, I mean, what year is this around? Do you remember?
2004 is when we broke up, and I started The Burning Room in 2005, I believe, is when I jumped into Portugal.
Okay. So, I mean, and how long were you with Portugal then? From like 2005 till...
About 2.5 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
and there's like getting into 2008, probably Portugal's starting to get a little bit of a buzz at this point, probably.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I don't know about everywhere, but definitely on the coastal cities, definitely the radio stations around here was only 2-3 years removed since they had like the biggest song of the summer here on the coastal stuff, Yeah. So I mean, do you feel like you kind of you got out a little too early?
The joke is I quit the Beatles. That's been the joke. I was the drummer that quit the Beatles before Ringo came in. I
That's amazing.
But I'm also seeing how busy those guys are, and you can attest to this because I mean, you're not in a small band either. So I mean, your schedule. And the amount of press they do, the amount of travel they're doing, as fun as it is grueling.
Oh yeah,
like grueling to fly to Europe and then have 6 hours of press to do when you land. I mean, things like that are insane. And then the pressure of having a staff. And do you guys have one bus or a band crew bus, or do you guys have separate?
It depends on where we're at. We usually, at this point, the band is usually separate from the crew at this point.
Okay.
The last U.S. tour, I can't tell you how many buses we had. I would have to count, and I'd have to ask my tour manager, to be honest. Yeah. We're rolling in a lot of buses and a lot of trucks now. I mean, we're going in and out of arenas, and we've gotten to a point where everyone has families. So if we're out for a long period of time, we like to get our own buses, and we'll probably roll with 5 band buses, and our assistants and management and stuff will ride with whoever of those, and then main crew and stuff are in at least 2 other buses. I think we got anywhere from 30 to 40 people out with us, just crew at this point.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the thing. That pressure of knowing if you woke up tomorrow and didn't want to do this anymore, those people would be, a lot of those people would be out of a job. I mean, having that pressure too is also something that, is different than what we were used to, And
you're starting to make me think about it. I never think about that now. Now I feel like, oh, there is fucking pressure. Ah, shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sitting here just having a fun time doing a fucking podcast, and now I got to think about this shit. Thanks a lot, Dewey.
You're welcome. Down over here. No, and so I'm home every night with my kids, and doing my thing and still able to do the podcast and stuff and talk to people and still feel connected, but I don't have to put in the windshield time, like I don't have to be out there doing it. Like, and I loved it when I did it, but when I got out, I was done. Like I was ready to.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's cool that you acknowledge that, and you've said before that this podcast is really a way that has you didn't necessarily miss the touring life, but you missed that camaraderie of tour and talking to other people and getting to know other people behind the stages and everything like that. So I think that's a really cool, and it comes across when you're doing stuff, and I think that's kind of therapeutic for you. But then also I heard your dad used to be in radio, right, in Alaska?
Yeah, he did. He had a radio show. It was volunteer because he ran a grocery store on the island, and Thursday nights would go in and record his show for Friday afternoons, called the Big John Show. And I used to go with him and try to stay quiet while I watched him do it, and I couldn't. I had to go into this other room, and it was just full of records and a record player, and I would just listen to records when I couldn't keep quiet in the room when he was recording. So that's where I got into a lot of like pop music. There's a lot of pop music on the island there, so Wilson Phillips and stuff like that, like the really shit. And so. And
what island is this that you guys were going to?
Petersburg.
Petersburg. Okay, and that's where that's where you were born and raised.
I was born in Longview, Washington, but I moved there when I was 6 months old.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
Technically not an Alaskan.
Is it Russia then? Is that what I mean, you could see it from there, right? Some shit.
Yeah. Sarah Palin was our mayor and our PTA president and all that stuff when we were there. So, yeah, she's an interesting person.
Oh yeah,
but, yeah.
So you've met her? Have you had her on the podcast yet?
No, I probably should.
You really should.
But,
I don't know that. I don't think the relevancy is there anymore. I mean, like that news is like from like 10 years ago now. I think at this point.
Yeah. Well, we could get into a conversation, I'm sure. That's the thing that, we had to petition her to build a skate park because the cops were getting so pissed that we were skating the banks and everything else. And we told her, like, we have bands, like we can play shows. If we can raise half the money, will you front the rest? And she said yes. And then we did it, and she stuck to it. And that skate park is still there.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's badass. But yeah, she stuck to her word on that. So kudos to her for that. But that's about it.
That's about all.
Yeah.
So now you're in Portland.
Yeah.
Right? All right, cool. And how many kids you got?
3.
3 kids. Age and sex?
I have a 20-year-old stepdaughter, and then my son Grayson is 8, and my daughter Cora is 6.
Awesome. So that's amazing. So you have like your job, your 3 kids, your wife, and you still have time to do the podcast.
Yeah.
That's
due to my wife being a champion of taking care of the kids constantly.
That's great.
Yeah. So she gets fried quite a bit, but been able to make it work. So it's been nice.
Yeah. Again, I go back to the podcasting. Your Peer Pleasure podcast. You had Jenny from Bad Cop on an episode back in November. As it stands, I'm supposed to be having her on the show. We're here in Orange County. Her bakery is just up the street from my house, and we're gonna get together and have a drink here and do the podcast. Speaking of, you don't drink, right? No alcohol. No. I mean, you consume liquids. We know that you consume liquids.
Yeah.
You're a human being, but no alcohol. Was that has that always been a choice for you, or just never had any desire to booze it?
Well, I did when I was younger. I got it kind of out of my system by the time I was like 23 or something like that, to where I don't think I just kind of would go till it was gone. And then as the band got bigger, it would just keep showing up. So like we would play a show and there'd be a bottle or 2 of something, and then we would sell the show out and there'd be 2 more bottles when we were done. And it was one of those things where I never felt good the next day at all. And on tour, being hungover sucked.
It definitely does.
At home. So I was kind of like, man, this isn't really worth it to me to have, a few hours of, I guess, amped up fun versus what I would normally be doing for the next day to be shitty. So I just kind of stopped. I said, I'm kind of done with this. And that was it. I didn't do any kind of. I don't think I was ever necessarily like an alcoholic or anything, but I definitely didn't know when to stop, and I would get crazy. And I'm not a small person, so things would get broken or people would get hurt.
Oh man, that's the Dewey I wanted to hang out with though.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of.
I miss that Dewey.
You get drunk, and I'm like, dude, you don't want to see me get drunk.
So these days you got other liquids. What's your you're a coffee in the morning kind of guy? Soda throughout the day. What do you got?
Boring dude ever. I don't even drink coffee. I don't like the taste of coffee.
Okay.
I never had. Tried it once at a restaurant when I was a kid. I grabbed someone's drink that wasn't mine, and it scarred me to this day. But I'm a Shirley Temple guy. I'll tell you that right now.
All right, are you doing Shirley Temples from scratch, or are you just like grabbing a can of Shirley Temple?
Both. I do it. So I'll do the grenadine syrup kind, and then I'll do where you pour the cherry juice in there instead.
Oh.
I tell you how many bars. So back, there's a bar called Sin 13. I don't know if it's still around back in Houston or San Antonio. This was back when that tour of ours combined. And so, like, I was hanging with Gerard from My Chem at Sin 13, which is down the road from the venue you guys were playing. He would come over and just hang out with us on that tour every once in a while. And I ordered a Shirley Temple from one of the biggest, gnarliest biker-looking bartenders. Nice. And he just looked at me and said, "Are you fucking serious?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." So he went and ate it, but he's all fucking pissed off about it or something. Like this fucking guy, is he kidding with me right now? And yeah, anyway, so I've been known to frequent a Shirley Temple in a lot of really divey bars around the country and get a lot of luck.
Do you ask for it in a dirty glass so it seems a little bit more manlier?
See, this is things I should have known before.
Yeah, next time you're in a dirty bar and you want a Shirley Temple and this guy gives you a hard look, you just remember, oh, I'm sorry, in a dirty glass. Yes. And then they'll steer away, because then they'll just think you're a fucking weirdo. They'll be like, this guy wants a fucking. What does he want me to do? Spit in the glass first and then fucking make it for him? What the fuck? But you just mentioned something there too. You just grazed upon something there. We were on tour. You were with Anatomy at the time, and we were on tour with Mike Kim.
Yeah,
and we crossed paths a couple of times there.
Yeah, like 5 nights in a row we were in the same town in Texas or something. So yeah, they combined.
Yeah, and then like you said, you were hanging out with Gerard a lot of the time. This was. Obvious, they were opening up for us, and we were in clubs and theaters. So they were, I mean, this was right before their, big break album had come out. Months before, I think at the end of that tour, is they released that record that I'm trying to blank on the fucking title of it.
Sweet Revenge.
Sweet Revenge, that's right.
Yeah.
And those songs just blew up everywhere, and then like. Boom! Overnight, they were opening for us, and then they were just like taking off, and it was great to see a bunch of great dudes. It couldn't happen to a better group of guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, so why don't you share some of your experiences with those guys?
Oh man, we played. I think the reason we knew each other already is we played this. We were getting thrown on shit all the time. This was like none of us are vegetarian or anything like that, but we got thrown on this PETA show in California somewhere with My Chem, The Used, Goldfinger, and Stun.
Okay.
And so that's where
Stun. Yeah.
That's where we met Gerard and Frank and all those guys. And so we just kind of just would see each other randomly in towns. Like, oh, you're playing too, or So it's something that it was short lived. Like we didn't spend a ton of time together, but having. Seeing bands around the country that you knew or knew of was really awesome, because it was kind of like you're in this weird sea of stuff and you find a familiar spot or a person at a gas station. Or I remember we ran into Himza at a gas station. It was like Christmas. We were like, "What? Are you kidding me? Like how are we in the same spot?"
There's a name I haven't heard in a minute. Himza. I remember I think we did a show with them like when I was just joining the band up in fucking Seattle or something like that. They were. Yeah. That was a great band, man.
Yeah, they're fucking awesome, and they never got their due. Like they would play with huge bands and never get what they deserved. Like they were so good.
What are they doing now? Do you know? You're closer to the pulse than me. What the fuck? You're closer to Seattle too.
Yeah, a band called Eris.
Okay.
And they're fucking awesome.
I gotta check this out.
I don't know what any of the other guys are doing. He was like the legendary door guy at El Corazon and the off ramp and all that. So it went through all those different names. He worked there for so long. I think it's closing now, but he's still working security there and then touring in the off time.
What was his name again? I think you broke up right as you were saying.
John Pettibone.
There you go. Okay. I'll just move it over. You know, I put this all in Pro Tools later. I'll just move it over, and then you'll have like a nice little old school kung fu overdub of it on your voice. Fantastic. So let's get back to Jenny from Bad Cop, Bad Cop. You guys had a really rad conversation, and I believe, is there a record out now that you guys were discussing at the time?
No, not yet.
That's coming out soon though.
Yeah, they're with Anti-Flag.
Yeah, and they're about to do the tour. And have you gotten to try any of her bakery goods, the cookies or cakes?
No, I haven't. I'm going to be coming down there eventually. I was going to come down first week of February. That's not going to happen. But to Orange County, try out the bakery. She is one of the coolest people, and I'd never met her before. This was all set up through Vanessa from Fat Records. And we just hit it off. She's awesome, and we had a great conversation. And right here in this car. Yeah. And so we keep in touch, and she. I don't know if you've seen her cakes, but it's insane. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I have seen a little bit of her cakes, to be honest. Yeah, like it was after Sam, the guy who helps me get guests on my show, reached out and was like, this chick Jenny from Bad Cop, Bad Cop's right down the street. She's super nice. I just met her at the bakery, and she like already made me all these like rad cookies and cakes, and they're fucking delicious. So he started showing me here on the Instagram and everything like that, all these things. I was like, damn, like these are really intricate cakes. It's pretty insane.
And she's a great songwriter. That band's kick ass, dude.
Yeah.
And just the friendliest person.
Yeah.
Like she's always smiling. You guys are gonna have fun. I can't wait to see that episode.
Yeah.
You guys should have a quick recipe or something with the drink.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. We're gonna do something along those lines. That's usually what we try and do. But you mentioned you're gonna try and get out to California. When you do, I am literally down the street from her. So it's
perfect.
You got to make sure you hit me up too, and we'll hopefully I'll be in town.
Absolutely, yeah. I try to get down there a couple times a year and do in-person stuff.
Oh, cool.
So
I can make you a Shirley Temple in person. I could like doctor it up and everything. Like it'd just be like it. I promise it would be the best Shirley Temple you ever had in your life.
Dude, that's flying down there for it. It costs like $150 to fly there. It'd
be $150 Shirley Temple. I won't charge you, okay?
Dude, yeah, that's totally worth it.
Yeah,
I do.
So, getting back to the podcast again, I mean, that's mostly what we're doing here. That's what we're talking about. Your Pure Pleasure podcast. You said that your inspiration for it was kind of getting to talk to other people that on the road without being on the road anymore and being at home and everything. And then, but you touched upon, your dad was, a DJ and everything like that. And I heard you speak about this before. You were saying how, he had a voice for it, and you started to realize that you kind of sounded like him because you went back and listened to some old tapes, right?
Yep. Yeah, old cassettes.
Old cassettes. For the kids at home under the age of 20, what is a cassette?
For the kids under the age of 20 or the weird hipster crowd that's still releasing cassettes for the low end.
Oh, no, the hipsters know it.
Yeah, flip your phone around and look at that cool phone case you have that looks like a cassette, or the pillows themselves. But those are little tape rolled up in a little plastic container that goes in a tape player.
Yeah.
You have to rewind them, you have to fast forward them, and they degrade over time. They're awful.
Yeah. So you heard your dad's show. I mean, you watched it often as a kid and firsthand and everything. He's killing it. He's having fun doing the DJ thing, and you listen back to a lot of these things. You're like, hey, I can have that voice. I'm not a DJ, but I can talk to people. I have no problem with that. But what I want to have you ever really considered? I mean, you're out in Portland. Is there rock radio out there, or any radio stations you would ever consider doing a DJ gig at, or have you reached out to anybody there?
I absolutely would. A buddy of mine works for a it's not a college station, but it's like an independent station called X-Ray FM up here. But he's like, man, you have to take all the cursing out of your show. And so I would basically, I was on Adobe Radio for a while.
Okay.
If you've heard of that, I'm not sure really what it exactly was. It was weird. I would send him a version of my show cut into 3 pieces in an hour format, which sucked because sometimes the show is 2 hours long and I'd have to go and break it up into 3 pieces, send it to them, and still post my regular version. And then, so if I did something completely different that was just at the station, I would absolutely do it. But if I had to take what I'm already doing and format it for radio, that would be difficult for a lot of reasons. But
yeah, I wouldn't think that. I think it'd be cool though. I mean, I'm not you, but I think it'd be cool to do that in addition. You know, you go out there and, you know, you obviously have an affinity to music and, you know, talking, and it's like kind of like the perfect 2 things to being a DJ, right? Yeah,
absolutely. I would think that if someone could work the controls, I'd be set.
Oh, dude. So yeah, we when I was on, we had a conversation. I was on your show. We got into a little bit of the tech of how you record your show versus mine. Yours is a lot simpler than mine, which is why we got started a little bit late. I try and do like all this fancy shit. I don't know why sometimes, but so you said you sit in your car, and this is where you conduct your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And you just run it off your phone. And you have a Zoom, right, that you run everything into? Or
yeah, I have a Zoom H4 and a Zoom H6, and I don't use the H6 yet because I'm worried I'm going to mess it up. So I still use the H4 or H4n.
Okay. And how do you get it off your phone, though? Like that was the question I had.
I run my phone with so I've got the newer iPhone, I guess, with the lightning cord or whatever. That runs into an auxiliary cable into a 1/4 inch into my H4n, and then my mic runs in. So basically, whatever you're hearing on my phone is playing into its own channel on the H4n. My microphone XLR is into channel 1, and then so the guest hears me talking into the phone on my lap, like I'm on speaker almost, and then the recorder records me through my microphone.
Okay,
so,
that's kind of similar. It's kind of similar to what I'm running right now. That's cool. Well, so is that how you've like always done it? You said you're like, you know, currently going to be at like 130 episodes or something like that. Have you always ran it the same, or have you ran into issues when you're doing the podcast and you have to like fucking, how many times have you fucked up a podcast, if you have at all, where you're like, oh shit, I got to go back and redo that with that guy?
I've never had to do that. I'm lucky enough. I think we talked about it maybe on our episode. I think we did. My cousin works with the FBI. He's a audio forensics engineer, so he'll decode voicemails and shit, or like weird. And anyway, Ian Mackay is when I first got like I used to record it into my laptop when I first started because I didn't know how to use the other stuff. Then Mike Herrera got me into doing it this other way that he did it, which is how he still does it, I think, which I just described. And that, I got the H4n off some crackheads off Craigslist for super cheap, figured it out with YouTube videos. And then my next episode was Ian Mackay, and I had basically doubled myself. I had too old of a version of an iPhone, so it recorded me through my phone and the H4n, so my voice was doubled like a robot, but Ian sounded fine. So my cousin's like, dude, I can't redo this interview. Like, I spent 6 months prepping and getting this together. And he was able to clean it up enough so it's listenable, but you'll still hear me sound kind of like a robot.
Okay, and that's still up there on the Peer Pleasure archive. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. The funny one. I think I mentioned it in the intro too. Like, sorry guys, like this is really bad.
That's great. So, what are some? I haven't gone through the entire archive yet. 100 episodes is quite a few to get through. But what were some? We mentioned Fat Mike and Jenny, and Ian here so far. What are some of your other favorite podcasts you've done? Like, who are some like, for various reasons? I mean, who are some interesting people? Who are some episodes that we should be checking out that you're most proud of?
Okay, Rachel Midori was the first time she was on was in person in Orange County. There, we were at this podcast movement thing. She was a former porn star. She lives in New York now. does like the microdosing LSD for her dissociative disorder.
Oh.
That's what I didn't know I'd get into with this show, is the amount of mental health and dark shit that comes out when you're talking to someone for a long time. And anyways, we touched on a lot of that stuff. That was a really heavy episode where Mike Mowry from Jabberjaw came into the room for a minute to grab something and ended up staying like 20 minutes. And then I got out when we were done. He's like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
wow.
It was a good one. And so she's been back on the show since people were requesting her to come back. She's one of the repeat people. So that's a good one. Rachel Midori, Lars Fredrickson from Rancid.
Awesome.
That episode, talking about him being 11 years old on PCP, digging his friend's eye out of his head. Like crazy shit. There's a lot of stuff.
And that's what we do it for, is the crazy shit.
11 going to juvenile hall for using a piece of toy train track to dig his friend's eye out because he was fucking with him.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's nuts. So like, and then talking to your heroes. I mean,
yeah.
Keith Morris, that was a fucking weird one. He just went off, and I just let him talk for the whole time almost. Mike Watt from the Minutemen, Dennis from Refused. Yeah, so it kind of depends on the reason. Like, there's some ones that went really dark, like Rachel, and then there's some really fun ones. I've had a couple comedians on, like Josh Johnson and Emily Heller and Kurt Brauneller, and Dana Gould. That one was fucking awesome and really fun. Yeah. So, and even that, so like talking to Dana Gould about Robin Williams because they were friends. Like, how much closer can you get than that to get the real story on things and how someone.
That must be a really interesting one. Robin Williams is a huge inspiration to me for a lot of things. Just his energy and everything is just fucking awesome. The way he passed, tragic, everything like that. So, like, as you said, I never got the pleasure to meet him or anything like that. So you get a friend that's about as close as you're gonna get, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh no, or all the people I've talked to that are close to Kurt Cobain, like Patty Schemmel from Hole. She lived with Kurt Cobain, like Dale Crover from the Melvins, Buzz from the Melvins. They've both been on the show and had Kurt stories. And like, dude, people did not understand who Kurt was. They still don't. Like, he was hilarious, and like, he wasn't like this depressed guy. He was happy and fun, but darkness got to him. But like, people don't understand. Like, that's you're seeing what the world has shown you. You're not seeing what other people have seen in behind closed doors. Yeah, so.
And that's the cool thing about the world of podcasting is hopefully people are getting to see who the real person is behind all that. It's in a comfortable setting for me. I enjoy talking to people and even letting more stuff out about myself, even through my own podcast or doing other people's podcasts, because you just be yourself. It's a conversation. I'm not sitting here getting grilled by a journalist or something like that, and I have to be like on my game, like, well, I hope I don't say anything that's gonna piss the rest of the guys off or piss off our fans and stuff. It's like, I'm just gonna kind of chill, fucking have a conversation.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. It's like jamming, but not everyone can play music on a level where you can just get in a room and jam with somebody. Kind of similar to this, but a lot more people, I think, can do this, where it's just kind of a natural thing. And that's why I stopped the prep for episode. Like, that's kind of my challenge now after 100-some episodes, is like, I'm just going to go into this and talk to whoever just straight up, no notes, nothing, and that's.
Did you used to take notes though?
Like, I did.
Yeah.
I used to take 2-3 pages, and I never used them, so I was just wasting time because not once did I have to use them, and it was like, okay, I am spending all this prep time. Like, of course I'll watch some stuff and I do some work, but I want to just be natural, and stuff comes up and because a lot of times with musicians, especially, if you want to know what they do, get on Spotify now. Go pause the episode, go listen to the top songs on Spotify, and come back and then hear about the person. Because that's what I'm interested in. Obviously, a lot of people I'm interested in talking to because of what they do, because I wouldn't know them otherwise. But that's not the important part. Like, it's showing who they are.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the cool part. I still make notes pretty often. I'm still very new to this. So when I usually have a whiteboard and everything, and I'll reference stuff, and go back and forth. But today, you were actually, funny enough, you're the first one that I do not have fucking stack of notes on the screen right next to me. Where I was just like, you know what? I think I got this one. We're just gonna fucking have a little chat.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have to staring at each other and like,
yeah,
oh,
this
so
is
what?
great. This is great. This is like nice. So that's the other thing about the Skype thing that I've learned is really cool. Is we're literally, if we're in a room, we're kind of looking around, doing all this. We are literally just locked into each other this whole fucking time. It's a little creepy if you think about it.
You want to know something completely off topic that's creepy that I noticed before? So at the end of the day today, I was listening to Lizzo, like I was saying earlier, for just to be fun, like a guy my size on a construction site blaring Lizzo.
That's fantastic.
Definitely get some looks, but no one said anything about it.
No, that's a fantastic picture you just painted, by the way.
But I was listening to a podcast with Ronda Rousey right before that. I thought I was listening to the same damn person. How have you noticed? I don't know if you've noticed how much Ronda Rousey sounds like Lizzo.
I have never noticed that, but now it's on my radar.
Dude, it's gonna blow your mind. If you could get Ronda Rousey to cover a Lizzo song, it'd be perfect.
Dude, I love the Lizzo record. Like we in Avenged, we do every year. We put out each band member picks their 5 favorite records of the year or whatever, and no one else but me picked Lizzo. I was like, come on, guys, this is a good record. And like everyone else is like, nah. I don't care. I think it's, the first couple times I heard that Truth Hurt song on the radio, my wife's like, listen, she's all, this is, I get down to, I'm doing my spin class, I hear this song, you got to hear it, and I'm listening to it, I'm all, this is weird and terrible. And then I heard it a couple more times, oh, this is pretty fucking awesome. And then I hear the rest of the record, I'm all, oh, she could sing her ass off too. And I'm like, these songs are fucking fun and good. Like, they're uplifting too. Like, it's great to listen to some deep shit too, but I'm a pretty fun-loving guy. Every once in a while, I just want to throw on something that just makes me feel better. Yeah,
yeah.
And I feel like that record does that.
There's a playlist on Spotify called "Back That Ass Up," and I put that on at work sometimes.
That is fantastic.
Gets it rolling. It's literally that song. I forget who does it. The "Back That Ass Up," and then like Ludacris, and oh my god, it gets out of control. R. Kelly's on there.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's wild. We get some looks from these tough guys, if you will, and they're looking at whose radio it is, and they're like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah, yeah. You're not a small guy, so that's another thing. Like when you're talking about the burly looking bartenders giving you hard looks and shit about the Shirley Temple, you're not batting an eye though. I mean, you're a pretty big guy. Yeah.
But that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. Can go ahead. Work about now because that's it.
What kind of construction? What kind of construction are you in?
Plumbing.
Plumbing, okay.
Yeah.
You're building a hotel right now?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I hope that I one day stay in this hotel and I can tell you how pristine the plumbing is.
Yes.
After I stay. I'll tell you, man, I was on the bottom floor and I could not hear a single flush. Good job. Everything went down smoothly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can fuck up Sinister Gate's room there. You guys should both stay there. You fuck up his room in the night.
That'd be fantastic.
I just got to fix this.
Do you know what hotel it is? Did they have a name on it yet?
Yeah, it's called Hotel Indigo.
Indigo.
Have you stayed in one of those? It's a chain. But it's
it sounds familiar.
Indigo. It's right on the waterfront in Vancouver, Washington, which is directly across the river from Portland. So they're building up the Vancouver side, so they're putting this fancy hotel. There's a steakhouse called El Gaucho.
I love El Gaucho. I do. The original is in Seattle, I believe. Yeah, I go to Seattle pretty often. My father-in-law still lives in Anchorage. It's where my wife was from, and it's a perfect middle point for us to meet, and we'll go stay at Airbnb in downtown Seattle. El Gaucho is one of the first restaurants I was turned on to there. Fucking fantastic place. Oh, the first time I walked into it, I felt like that. Are you very familiar with the Mask with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
Like the ballroom when he like walks in there, I was like, oh my god, I'm in the fucking Mask scene because it's just all like 40s out and everything. And, like there's a guy playing piano. It's all dark. There's a stage that no one's ever on, but like it's over there. It's just like this fantastic. And then you have a great martini or Shirley Temple and a steak. And these steaks are fucking phenomenal. El Gaucho. So they're putting one over there
in the bottom floor. It's an El Gaucho, and then the hotel on top, and then a condo right next, same building. So half of it's condos, half of it's the hotel with this big atrium that goes up, and yeah, it's cool.
Well, when I come out there, I'm definitely gonna have to take a stop by there.
Oh,
Check
yeah.
out the plumbing and El Gaucho. That's what I'm gonna do. That's gonna be the list next time I'm in Portland.
Or
I may go to the strip clubs that I hear so much about. I've never been to a strip club. I can't even say it with that straight face. But no, I love the Portland strip clubs. I will say. So I'll probably, those will be. I'll add that to my stops of strip clubs. Even if I'm not staying at the Indigo, I'm gonna go. My buddy Dewey was working on the plumbing over there.
Yeah.
And I love El Gaucho. So guys, we got to go check out Indigo.
Yeah, you got to stay on the the Oregon side, because Washington, I don't think you can take the bottoms off.
I don't mind that. It's not really what I enjoy. Strip clubs. I'm not one of I'm not one of these guys that go sit on Pervert Row and just like get up real close, and I'm just like, not having a drink, just literally there to stare at Gash. Like, I'm not one of those guys. Like, I enjoy the entertainment factor. I sit back, you have a couple of drinks. They'll usually have some sports on a TV in one corner, and then every once in a while I look up to the stage, see a talented young lady, or maybe sometimes not so young, shaking her thing, and it's just nice to look at, and I go with my wife all the time. She comes out of strip clubs with me. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like stigmas about it, about being like this horrible thing, and it doesn't have to be. It's just it's an amusement park for adults. You sit there and you have a good time. I could either have a couple of drinks at a normal bar or sports bar and just sit and chat with a bunch of dudes, or I could also have some titties hanging out right next to me. Like I'm gonna go where there's titties. I don't know, guys. It would call me crazy.
I love that. That's the hand motion you did for that. A little far apart, but yeah.
Oh well, it depends on what part of the world you're in. Yeah. I don't discriminate on my boobs, Dewey. I do not discriminate on boobs. Okay.
Have you been to the Acropolis in Portland strip club?
If I have, I've been kicked out of it because I don't remember.
Okay. Are in there? Are you a salad bar guy? If you're in a strip club, will you do the salad bar?
Oh man, I'm usually not a food guy. I mean, I will, but I'm not usually a food guy. Is this one good?
Oh yeah, it's great. The guy owns a little ranch, and this is like his pet project. Like, so he brings his own meat in and stuff from his place. So it's good. But we would go in there on lunch when we were working at a venue. I was working at a venue in town in between tours, and we would go on lunch break and go get the steak special, and you get a steak and baked potato for $4. And
nice.
So we did that.
Deal.
Just like the day shift people. So it's just like, like we never really even looked. And then one day we walked in and it looked like a fucking Motorhead video. It was insane. Chicks everywhere. Like, it was an amazing chicks everywhere. And we're like, what the fuck is going on? It's like noon on a Tuesday. And we asked one of the girls, like, what's happening here? Like, oh, well, the weekend girls have to work one weekday shift a month. And so we decided to do it all together.
That's incredible. That's the day to go.
It was a fucking free-for-all. It was insane. And it never happened again, of course. But that was one of
It was a mirage. You're lying to me, Dewey. I'm going to be on the constant search of this fucking daytime fucking strip club. You fucked me for life. You fucked me for life, because now that's all I'm going to be thinking about. I want a fucking steak at noon, and I want the weekend crowd all there while all the fucking chumps are at work.
Dude. Well, we can make that shit happen.
All right. Well, when I'm in Portland, I'm going to
stay at Sevenfold's filming a video tomorrow at the Acropolis at noon. And then we'll show up, and it won't be happening, but we won't say anything about it.
No. We'll set up like some GoPros to make it look like, yeah, that's how we film videos these days. Yeah. Fucking record labels aren't shelling out the cash like they used to for music videos. So this is what we're doing.
Yeah, do it. On the cheap in Portland.
This is a great idea. I think we should make this happen.
You can easily do it. Just do it. Sit up there and just see what happens. You guys have that at your fingertips now, where you can just say, you could get on the Facebook and just to fuck with everyone else. And say,
Did you just call it the Facebook?
The Facebook.
You called it the Facebook.
I call it the Facebook, and I call it the Instagram. I do it.
How old are you, dude? I gotta be older than you. You're 37?
Yeah.
Man, tour does something to you because I mean you've been home for a little longer. You're looking a lot better than me.
Yeah. I'm not in the sun all the time. I got rain up here. It's what keeps your
Oh,
skin
that's right. That's right. Got that
good.
northern skin.
Good gene. Yeah, it's all the El Gaucho I've been having.
Fantastic.
All the lotion from the stripper titties would rub on my face all the time. And just,
Dude.
yeah.
That's the fountain of youth right there.
Yeah.
Lotion from the tit.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you come out smelling like 6 different kinds of perfume. It's like when you were a kid and went in with the soda, then put all the
suicide.
soda.
Suicide. Yeah.
God damn. That's it. That's it right there. It's a suicide in your kid, and it's a suicide for your marriage if you try to sneak over there and go home.
Yeah, there you go. No, that's what. See, you don't drink, so that's what we'll do. We'll go to the club, and we have to do a suicide of both kinds.
Yes.
And that'll be our game for the day.
Absolutely. I would love that very much.
That'd be fucking. I'm down. I'm down.
Cool.
Oh, and when you come down to Orange County, I'll take you to the one local strip club that we have here in Huntington Beach. It's actually in Garden Grove, which is one of the neighboring cities, because they don't allow them in Huntington Beach for whatever reason. And this one actually has fantastic sushi rolls.
Interesting.
And some very, very nice, fun people living there and hanging out. And it is literally a 200-yard walk to the house I grew up in. Is actually right next to the strip club off of Garden Grove Boulevard.
Nice.
So I'll take you there when you're down here.
Yes,
we'll do that.
Great.
So last couple of things I just curious wanted to ask you about you're on the Jabberjaw podcasting network, right?
Yeah.
And you and I kind of reconnected from years ago through Blasco, who's good friends with Mike over at Jabberjaw, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How you liking that? Like, is that? I'm not on a network. See, I'm doing all this kind of grassroots right now, and I'm out of curiosity, how you liking being on a network, specifically Jabberjaw? Did you shop your show anywhere else, or was it always Jabberjaw?
No, it was so Matt Carter from Emory and Mike Mowry started the network, and so Matt and I were friends from tour back in the day, and Matt heard my show and liked it and brought it to Mike. Mike liked it, so like episode 3, I think we had a conference call and then brought it on the Jabberjaw, and it's been on there ever since. So it's gone through a couple different phases, but it's nice to be on a network because you have people that can help you out if you need help with technical stuff, show images, that kind of stuff. My basic job is I record the show, and then I'll send my assistant Samantha will do like the show note stuff. She's starting to do the episode image stuff and all that. And so then the network helps by getting us, the hosting and all that stuff. Dynamic ad insertion. So the ads change every week instead of being on there forever. Mm-hmm. Shit like that I don't like to worry about. So that's kind of the most I go to having a crew. Because I do a lot of it myself, and the show, the actual content I do myself. Yeah. But then I kind of off when it's done and they handle the rest. So it is nice for sure, but you can do it without it, no problem.
That's cool. Yeah. So I'm right in the neither world. I'm just starting off season 2, and I'm kind of deciding what I want to do if I want to continue doing this. I mean, I have fun doing it on my own. I have a couple of friends of mine that are helping me, and I don't know if you see, we're focusing more on the podcast audio side of things, and we're going to be releasing things weekly now instead of just whenever I have an episode, which I was doing before. Kind of funny. Learning the ropes. I'm like, just put it out whenever, and then I look at it and like, people forget, man. If you don't have a weekly episode out, like, people will forget, and it's like, it's this whole new world for me. I'm like, oh, okay, I got to at least do weekly. So doing that whole thing and figuring out this whole podcasting thing. So appreciate you letting me pick your brain as someone who's done it for a while and stuff. And speaking on, where can the viewers, listeners at home find more of Dewey Halpaus and Pure Pleasure?
Literally anywhere. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher. There's all these ones I've never even heard of that come up in my like you get your stats. They're like in a pie chart. There's one like Podbean and like all these. I don't even know of. Radio Public. It's all over the place. So if
Pretty
you
much
type it
everywhere. Everywhere
Yeah.
you're listening to podcasts, you put in the Pure Pleasure, PER Pleasure,
yeah.
and it'll show up, right?
Yep.
And we got the
Yep.
cool artwork on that. Did you have a hand in that artwork, or did you hand that off to somebody else?
One of my good friends, Wes, he goes by the name Wooden Cyclops on the Instagram. He's like a lowbrow artist. He just did all the tour posters for Weird Al's tour.
Rad.
One of his favorite people, one of his first cassettes he ever had was Weird Al, and they let him do all the tour posters for every date. And then, I told him I wanted like one of his goon-looking guys with headphones and Pure Pleasure written in the headphone strap. And he's like, "That I don't think that's going to work, but I got something else I just finished that I think you might like." And it was the Pleasure Skull that we used for the show. And he's done almost all the artwork for the show.
That's cool. And you have all that up on purepleasure.com, right?
Pure Pleasure Podcast.
Purepleasurepodcast.com, another place to check out. And do you have a personal Instagram that you do, or is it all Pure Pleasure?
I used to, but I forgot the password and I never logged back in, so I just Pure Pleasure Podcast.
That is fantastic, right
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Everyone forgets the password to everything because you have to have like fucking 10 million different passwords for everything. You can't use the same one twice. You can't use it in the same year. Then I like that you just said fuck it. I'm over it.
Yeah, what I'm just gonna be. This is it. I've got one. It's on my phone all the time, and if I want to post stuff, I will. Otherwise, who knows? Who knows where it's going?
Well, fantastic, man. I appreciate you being on the show, and everybody go check out the Pure Pleasure podcast. It's pretty awesome. I was on there too, so you can probably find that episode by the time this one's out. And thanks again, Dewey, and hope to see you up in Portland or down in California very soon.
You bet, brother. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Cheers.
All right, cheers.